and Sai Ram to all my students. I hope that you all are in good health and you all must have started for your revision. If not, then start because it is only 1 week for your PT1. So, this class we are going to discuss the chapters that we have completed before summer vacations. So, this class will be a revision class. Before starting with the revision, I must tell you that you all should know the summary well in that way that anything can be asked from anywhere. So your summary should be on your fingertips. Each and every character should be learned by you. How many characters were there, what were their role, about the dates, about the author name. Author name is also very important. You should know which writer has wrote which work, which poem is written by which poet. So this should be very much clear to you all. And if you are revising, don't just revise the question answers, but go through deeply through the summaries, chapters, which will make your concept clear. Now, as you have seen the syllabus of your PT1, from Beehive, 3 units are coming, Unit 1, Unit 2 and Unit 3 with the poems. And in moment, only 2 chapters are coming, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And the third thing is your written section, that is your formal letter. Now, today in this class, we are going to start with the Beehive. And that will be unit wise. First, we will start with the unit first, the prose section, the fun they had. So let us start. The fun they had was a story written by an American writer named Isaac Asimov. And this story is set in future in the year 2157. And we know that this story has 2 main characters. The students, they are Tommy, who is 13 years old, and Margie, who is 11 years old. Now the story starts when we got to know that Margie has the habit to write diaries, and the story starts when the heading was there. Margie wrote a diary with the entry that today Tommy found a real book. Today the date was given there was 17th May 2157. So when did Tommy find the real book? He find the real book on 17th of May 2157 in the attic. Attic is a type of a storehouse. And why did she called the book real? The question arises that why she called the book real? Real because we can hold that in our hand. We can touch that. We can turn the pages of the book. But as we all know, the story has been set in the year 2157, which will be a robotic age or a mechanical age, in which there are going to be no real things. All things will be virtual. All things will be depend on computers, artificial intelligence. So same way, Margie and Tommy don't have the habit, or they didn't ever seen a book which is real. They have the habit from the childhood about computers. Sorry. So they just read the virtual books. Virtual books are those books which are presented on the computer screen, and after reading a page, it will just rub it out and a new page will appear over there. They don't have to touch it, or there are going to be no wastage of pages. So here she says that Tommy found a real book in the attic. Now what happened? She describes the book. She describes the book that the book pages have turned yellow and they are very crinkly. Crinkly means when they have lot of wrinkles. When they become really old, they have lot of wrinkles on them. That is known as crinkly. Now when she saw that Tommy found a real book, she remembers her grandfather. She says, yes, once my grandfather told me that at his age, he used to read real books. He has not seen virtual books, but he has real books in his school. Now it is very funny for both of them to read the words which stood still, because though both of them, Tommy and Margie, didn't have the habit to read the books which have the words stood still, which are still. They will not move because on the screen the words are moving. They will rub and new words will appear on that screen. But in this book, the words are still. They are not moving here and there, and that's make book funny for both of them. Now what happened next? Tommy disliked the printed book. Why did he dislike the printed book? Because he thought that this printed book are waste. Once we have read it complete the whole book, it is of no use and we have to throw that. But but on the other hand, the virtual books are better because after we can read lots of books on only one screen and there will be no wastage. Here Margie is also agree with him. Why? Because she is younger to Tommy, because she is just 11 years old and Tommy is 13 years old, and she knows that he has read more books than me. That's why she agree with Tommy. Now she was very eager about the book. She asked Tommy that the book is about what thing. Here Tommy tells that the book is about school, going to school and life, and about the life at school. That means that whole book has described the school life of the student of the past years, or you can say present, in which we are living right now. Margie hated the word school. Why she hated the word school? Because she had a mechanical teacher. She doesn't like school. Her teacher is not a real man, it is a virtual teacher. And that's why she doesn't like the name school, because she has to submit her homework every time in the slot, and she has to submit the homework, and she has to submit her project works, and that's why she hates school, because she feels it is very boring for her. Now one day her mother, Mrs. The Margie's mother, called county inspector. Why county inspector came to check mechanical teacher? Because Margie's mother told to county inspector that she is not doing well in geography sector. Who? Margie is not doing good in geography sector. She is giving a very poor performance in geography. So on this, the county inspector came to check the mechanical teacher, that what has happened, why the girl is not performing well on her geography sector. Now the next passage describe about county inspector, that he was a round little man, he had a red face, and he is carrying a big box full of tools. Now Margie gives the description of the computer also, that it is black in color, it have big screen, and all the lesson appears on that screen. Margie hated this mechanical teacher the most. Why? As I have told you that she had to submit her homework and test paper to it through the slot. There is a different, or you can say there is a separate slot for submitting your homework and test paper, and on that she has to submit her test paper and homework, and she get marks, which is not so satisfying, and that's why she hate that mechanical teacher. Now it is said that now we know that she hated the mechanical teacher. Why? Because she had to submit her homework and test paper through a slot to the mechanical teacher, and that's why she hated that mechanical teacher. Now while she submit this homework and test paper, a different language is used to write those homework in test paper. Different language, that is a computer language, which Margie has learned at the age of 6. So there was no problem for her to know the language, because it is not a different thing for her. She has learned those language from her childhood. So she has learned the computer language at the age of 6. Now Margie was expecting that the mechanical teacher will be, you can say that county inspector will take the mechanical teacher with him, because she remembers one one incident that once Tommy teacher, mechanical teacher, went something wrong in that, and that mechanical teacher was taken away by the county inspector. Why? The reason was different there. The reason was that all the history chapters or history sector from the mechanical teacher was removed by chance, and that's why county inspector took Tommy's mechanical teacher for 1 month. And now she was feeling very happy that even my mechanical teacher will be taken away by the county inspector, as I am not performing well in geography sector. But it didn't happen, and she was very sad. What happened that the county inspector checked the mechanical teacher and correct the things in it, and he informed Margie's mother that everything was fine. It's just that she is performing very good according to her age. It is just that the mechanical teacher was set up a little bit higher. For higher students it was set up, and that's why it was difficult for her to understand the geography according to her age. So we can say that the mechanical teacher has geography sector according to higher classes, not according to Margie's age, and that's why she was performing bad. Even he appreciate Margie that you were performing very well according to your age for such a higher section, and still you cope up with the mechanical teacher to learn the geography. So this was all happened with the county inspector. What happened next? Tommy said that Margie was silly because she did not know that many years ago the school was not the kind they had. So what happened next? When she was very curious to know about these schools, she wanted to know what is there in the book. And when he was telling about the school, she doesn't know about the school because she doesn't know how were the schools in the past years. So here Tommy says that you are very silly that you even didn't know that how the schools were there in the past. But she was very curious to know. Then Tommy told him all the stories. He was reading the book one by one, that the human teachers were there to teach the student in the past teacher, not the mechanical teacher. All the students according to their age sit in a single class, and they all had fun while doing their work or while studying in the class, like we all are having right now in the present. So what happened that he tell everything about the past school to Margie, but she was getting more curious and curious to know more about the past school, because she's getting interest that how the students must be together, how they are doing their work together by helping each other. So all this thing was making her curious to know more about the past school. But what happened? Her mother called her for the virtual school. Her mother called, Margie, come and attend your virtual school as the mechanical teacher is waiting for you. Virtual school is nowhere but in the next room of her bedroom. So it is in her house only. It is set up in her next room, in a room in her house. The room was next to her bedroom, and she went to that school. Now Margie's life just like a mechanical teacher. Margie was also as performing according to the mechanical teacher, and she also become a mechanic, artificial intelligence. She was feeling very dull, very boring because there was no one in the school. Same way her school was working as ours, like she has to attend the school from Monday to Friday, and she is having off on Saturday and Sunday. But her life was very dull. Why? Because she had no fun like the students in the present age are having, that they are going to the schools. And now you must be also feeling that same thing, that we are not feeling that on the, we must be missing our schools because we want to play with our friends, we want to share the class with our friends. Studying alone is very boring. So that's why she also feel very boring, and her life has become very dull. And while the mechanical teacher was teaching to her, she was only thinking about the past schools. that how the students were having fun and how all the students became friends and studied together. So this was all about your chapter, the fun they had. If any point is left, you can go through the summary in your videos. From your videos you can again read, or you can again listen to the summaries which I have explained in 2 parts. Now comes the poem, The Road Not Taken. The Road Not Taken is a poem by Robert Lee Frost, which was written in the year 1915. So here you should know that you should learn the poet name or the author name. They are very important to learn. Don't forget to learn the name of the poet or the author. Now, what is the poem is all about? The poem is all about the problems we face while choosing options in our life. When we have many options in front of us and we have to choose one option for our future, that became a very difficult situation. And here, the road not taken, the road here symbolizes our life, the situations in our life. So what the poem starts with? The poem starts with that the poet is in the forest, that is in the woods, as it is said that the poet is in the woods, and sorry, I have left one point. The path or road which we choose decide our future, our destination. So we all know that many situations come in our life, and after choosing one situation, we know that this situation will decide our future, because we don't have time to come back to this age again and to choose other option. So whatever we are choosing, we have to think a lot in choosing that, because that thing will make our future, will decide our future. So now the poem is also describing the same thing in this poem about his life. He is saying that, so when the poem starts, we comes to know that the poet is in the woods, he's traveling in the forest, and a road come, junctions come where the two roads are dividing into two different paths. A single road is dividing into two different paths. Now the situations become very difficult for him. Now he has to choose the one road for himself, and he describes that the wood were yellow. Why? Because the leaves which were falling were yellow, or the wood were yellow because it was the autumn season. That's why he described that the wood were yellow, because all the leaves were falling and they became yellow in color, and that's why we get to know that it might be autumn season. That's why everything is yellow in color. Now the poet was traveling in the wood on foot, and he reaches a junction where a road is dividing into a two path, and he has to choose one for himself. It is very difficult decision for him to take a single road, because he has to think a lot that which road is beneficial for him and which road will give a good result in future. Then he see both the roads, and till the greenery of the forest stop his view, he just see all the roads. Now what happened, he take the another path, he'll take the second path, because he felt that both the roads were equally travel or equally good. He chooses the second road because he thinks that it is more grassy. Grassy means it might happen that nobody has traveled on that road, and he don't want to be a part of a crowd. That's why he chooses the second road, because he thought that this road seems to be very less traveled, less people have used this road, and I must not be a part of a crowd, and I just want to be I just want to do something different, and that's why he took that road. Later he says that both the roads were equal, and they seems to be equally traveled. He actually decided that one day he will take the another path and travel another path on the another day. So what he was thinking while taking the second road, he was thinking that one day I will come back to this forest again and I will take the another road. Today I'll take this road which is more grassy and which seems to be less traveled, but one day again I will come here and I will take the first road which was seems to be used by everyone. But later he reminds in his mind and talk to himself that it seems that both the roads were equally traveled. They were similar. Now what happened? In future he would be telling others about the choice he made, either with sigh or with regret. And at last he says that his choice has made his life different. So in the last stanza we got to know that he will tell the decision what he has taken in his life, the path he has chosen in his life to other people's also. Either with a sigh. Sigh means either with a relief that yes, I have taken a good road, or with regret that I was not able to choose a good road for myself, a good thing for myself, and yes, whatever I have chosen, it has made all the difference in my life. So every road or every situation comes to your life make a difference. It always changes you. It always make a difference in your life. And in the same way, the road or the choice he has made a difference in his life. So this was your poet, The Road Not Taken. Again, I'll suggest you go for a deep reading of this poem stanza by stanza from the videos which I have delivered you in the past days. Now comes your second unit. The second unit is Sound of Music. Sound of Music is divided into two parts. The first part is telling you the biography of Evelyn Glennie, and the second part is about Shehnai Maestro, that is Ustad Bismillah Khan. So let us start with the part 1. I'm just telling you the major points, and please I suggest you to go through deeply from the videos which were delivered you in the past days. So here I'm just telling you the very important point which I have made red in color or blue in color. Sound of Music part 1 tells the biography of Evelyn Glennie. Evelyn Glennie, who was deaf, but she still decided that she will make her career. But the irony was that she was deaf. She can't hear. That how can she decide a future in music industry? But she still decided that. She heard the vibration. When the story starts, we know that she was standing at the platform. She was waiting for a train, and how she realizes that the train is coming, that she heard the vibration of the train. Why she was taking a train? She was taking a train for herself because she was selected for the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London. She was selected for that. Besides, she was a deaf, but still she heard the vibrations of everything. And why she was going through a train to London? Because she was selected for the Royal Academy of Music in London. Now Glennie started losing her hearing power gradually from the age of 8, and slowly at the age of 11 she became completely deaf. That means she was not deaf from her birth, but it was a slow process that started from the age of 8. When she was 8-year-old, she started having problem in hearing, and at the age of 11 she became completely deaf. This is just because of the nerve which was defected. Now she was advised to be sent, a doctor advised her parents that she should be sent to a school of deaf. But she was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. So she was not accepting that I should go to the school of deaf. She is instead want to live a normal life. She want to go to a normal school because she want to pursue her career in music, and she was very much interested in that. So who helped her to become a musician? It was Ron Forbes, a percussionist. Percussionist, I told you that it means he can play a many instrument. A person who can play many instrument is known as percussionist. So Ron Forbes was a percussionist who was teaching in the school, and he noticed Evelyn Glennie potential and motivated her to feel the music through different body parts. So Ron Forbes motivated Evelyn Glennie to feel the music through different parts of the body because she was deaf. And Evelyn Glennie immediately realized higher drum from the waist up and lower from the waist down. So higher pitches she can feel the vibration from the upper part of the body, and the lower vibrations she can feel from the lower part of the body. Evelyn scored highest mark in the history of Academy. She got most of the top awards and started giving solo performance. So now her career changed. She realizes that she can feel the music. She practices that a lot, and what happened that she scored the highest mark in the Academy, Royal Academy. In the history, it was a history made by her that she scored the highest scores. Now what happened? She got many awards and she started performing solo on the stages. She can speak clearly. Why? Because we all know that she was not deaf from her birth, but it was a gradual process that happened after her birth from the age of 8. So she can speak in Scottish because she belongs to Scotland, and she even learned French and basic Japanese, so she can speak that. But how now she is deaf, so how she can she recognize what the person is saying? So what she used to do, she used to watch people lips movement, their face, and especially their eyes expression. Through that she can easily guess that what the person is trying to say, what his main motto after speaking to her. So that's all that she can understand while someone is conversating with her, that she especially watches the lips, the face, and very important, the eyes. While performing she remained barefoot. So while she was performing on the stages, she remained barefoot, that she don't wear any slipper or shoes or any sandals. She remained barefoot on the wooden platform to feel the vibration and music. To feel the vibration and the music, she remained barefoot. In the year 1991, she was presented with Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year for performing solo. So in the 1991, she was awarded with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year. This was an award given to her in the year 1991, and that should be remembered by you. She learned almost thousands of instruments. She was very workaholic and she only believes in hard work. Besides regular concert, she has given free concert in prisons and hospitals. Teaching young musicians is her priority, and people especially like her who are very differently abled people, she used to teach them music, and even they get motivated by her when they see that a lady like us is such a, you can say, such a successful person. She has achieved what she really want to do, and her life is inspiration for all the differently able people. Now this was the part first of Sound of Music. Now the part second is a story which tells the life story of great musician Ustad Bismillah Khan, and he is a Shehnai maestro. We all know that he is known for Shehnai, that he is master in that. And this story also tells the origin of Shehnai as an improved version of Pungi. Now what was Pungi and why it was banned? Pungi was banned by Emperor Aurangzeb for its shrill and unpleasant voice, because it is very shrill, very sharp voice is coming from that, and which irritate us, and that's why Aurangzeb banned that instrument in his court. A barber who belonged to musician family decided to improve the tonal quality of Pungi and made 7 holes on it. When he played on it, sweet and soft sounds were produced, and after that he decided that I will play this in the court, and he played this in Shah's chamber. Shah was the ruler at that time, and he played in his chamber, and As it was played with the nai, that's why it was named as Shehnai. The sound of Shehnai was considered very auspicious. The Shehnai was part of Naubat. What is Naubat? The very the nine instruments which are part of the royal courts. That's what we known as Naubat. No means night, but means the instrument which are part of the royal court. In that, it was Chennai was also a part. Why? Because it was very auspicious. Its sound was considered very auspicious, and that's why it was played only in the temples and in the wedding. Bismillah Khan was born on March 21st, 1960, in a musician family of Rasul Baks Khan, who was his grandfather, and his father Pegambar Baks, who was also a very great Shehnai player. Their family used to play in the temples and in the wedding. He was attracted towards Shehnai at the age of 3. His maternal uncle, Ali Baks, gave him Shehnai lessons. He practiced playing Shehnai at Balaji and Mangala Maya temple and on the bank of river Ganga. At the age of 14, he played Shehnai with his uncle at Allahabad Music Conference, and even he was appreciated by Ustad Fayaz Khan. And from there he was very much motivated, inspired, and he started practicing that daily. And he was also very much inspired from and motivated from River Ganga. And River Ganga provoked him to improve his performance. He also invented many ragas that were considered impossible to be produced by a Shehnai. Ustad Bismillah Khan first started performing from All India Radio at Lucknow. So now it is also a very important point that he started his career and he started performing first from the All India Radio, where in Lucknow. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai when on Independence Day. He played the Shehnai from the Red Fort on this memorable occasion. And which rag he played? He played Rag Kafi. He just not performed in India, he also performed in India as well as in abroad. And many he was very much appreciated in abroad also. The Prince of Afghanistan or the King of Afghanistan has given many precious gifts to him. He even performed at Cannes festival. So he just not performed in India but in abroad also, and there also he was appreciated a lot. Now, after listening to his performance, Vijay Bhatt was so impressed after hearing Bismillah Khan at a festival that he named a film after the instrument Goonj Uthi Shehnai. Though he now have started his career in because he sang a song for this music or for this movie Goonj Uthi Shehnai, but he doesn't want to be the part of this industry because it is full of glamorous, and that's why he want to be just away from this industry. He don't want to be the part of an industry, and never again he sang for the industry. He was first India to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. So again, this is the very important point that he was the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in United States of America. And in 2001, he was awarded with India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. So both these points are very important. Both these points are very important, and that is first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Hall, and he was awarded Bharat Ratna in in the year 2001. He now this point is also very important that he is exceedingly fond of Banaras and Dumrao and even River Ganga. So three main things which were very near to him was, or he was very fond of Banaras, where he used to live, Dumrao, where he was born, and River Ganga, which motivated, or which was his first love, you can say that. Ustad Bismillah Khan passed on 21 August 2006 at the age of 19. So this was his career, and this was the way he used to live. Let's move on to the poem of Unit 2nd. That is, the poem was Wind. Wind is written by Subramanya Bharti, and he wrote this poem originally in. So this poem is. Sorry. So the poem is Wind by Subramanya Bharti. He originally wrote this poem in Tamil. And who translated this in English? It was A.K. Ramanujan, who was again a Tamil writer, and he translated this poem Wind in English. Here the poem describes the power of wind on nature and as well as human life. He also focuses on the violence aspect of the wind. The poem indicates the difficulties and challenge that we face in our life. The poet says that we should face a problem boldly and stay firm in difficult situation. So here he is comparing wind to the difficult situation that comes in our life, or problems that we face in our life. So the same way the wind breaks the weak thing, the problems in our life break the weak people. Those who are very strong, they will face that problem very boldly and firmly, but those who are very weak, they will scatter at that moment. So in the same way he is describing the wind and life. Now poet says that whenever wind comes, it scatter everything here and there and break the things which are weak. The same way I have told you that wind is just like the problems we have in our life. The wind breaks the weak things, the problem break or scatter the weak people, and the wind scatters everything, the books, the papers which are kept, it will scatter everything here and there. The same way the problems that we have in our life will scatter us, will scatter our motivation, will scatter us from inside and outside. Now wind, which is also a difficult situation, is very clever. Why? Because it always make fun of weakling. Now wind knows that who will stand firm and very strong in front of me. That is these strong things. That is the wall, the doors, which I can never break, and it will never even create any problem in their life. The same way, difficult situation knows that the strong people will never ever bow down in front of me and cry. It is only weak people whom I am going to destroy, because they know they will scatter that they will scatter very easily, that they don't have so much courage to face me. Only strong people have courage to face me, and that's why they just make fun of the weak peoples. Whenever they come in the life of difficult situations, come in everyone's life. But those who are very strong, they face them with a very beautiful smile on their face. As I've told you that you should start your day with the positive sentences or affirmative sentences. Why? Having a positivity in your life is very important. It will make you a strong person from inside, mentally also, make you calm and strong. But those who will not take this advice seriously are the weak people. Why? Because they will scatter in front of the difficult situation, because they will not take this thing in a positive way. They will try to do this, they will try to just run away from situations, they will not try to face the situation with positivity in their life, and that's why they are weak. Now in the next line, the poet also says that the wind god winnows and crushes them all. Now this line is also very important, because here the he is telling us the real life situation, that whenever wind comes, it always winnows. Winnows is a process in science, you must have read, that when we separate the grain, the chaff from the grain, that is known as the process winnows. So in the same way, here in the wind also does a process which is known as winnows. Why? Because he separate the strong people from the weak people, and those weak people he crushes all the weak people. Same way the situations in a life does that. First he checks, as it comes in everyone's life, and those who are strong, they will with a smile face those problems, and those who are very weak, they will cry. And in this way the difficult situation will come to know that this is a weak person, and it will scatter more, it will break that person more and more, and it crush that person. So this what he says, that wind comes, and here he says that wind is the god is separating the grain, that is the strong peoples or the strong things, from the weak people, that is the chaff are the weak people, that is separating both the things, and the chaff we are crushing or we are throwing it away from the strong people. Now I think you have understood this. At last, poet says that he will not listen to our plea. Now here the poet is giving us advice that the wind or the difficult situation is not going to listen to you. If you are saying please come slowly, you are scattering us, you are making us cry, don't come like this, so it will not going to listen to us. It is us who have to change ourselves. So what we have to do, we have to make ourselves strong and firm, and by this we can make the wind friend with us. And again he gives the example that whenever wind comes, it will blow out the weak fire, that whenever the wind comes, it will blow the weak fire which doesn't have the you can say the stamina to stand in front of the wind. But the the wind always make the strong fire to grow more and more. So it is said that don't give so much oxygen to the air, it will grow more and more. So fire also need oxygen. In the same way, when it get winds and winds bring oxygen with it, then the strong fires grow more and more, and the weak fire who doesn't have the ability to stand in front of the wind, they blow out. The wind always make fun of the weak people, and it always wind always bow in front of the strong people. So this is the poem The Wind by Subramaniam Bharati, and it was translated by A.K. Ramanujan, and I hope that you have understood the meaning or the summary of this poem. Now let's move on to the third unit, that is The Little Girl. The Little Girl is written by Catherine Mansfield, and this is the story about a little girl who developed extreme fear of her father, who is extremely afraid of his father, because she thinks that his father is very strict with her. Now Kezia is the little girl about which the chapter tells. The little girl, the title is about Kezia, so she is the main character of this story. Kezia, who is a little girl, and she is living with her parents and grandma, and she is growing in her loving grandma's care. So she always live with her grandma. Why? Because her parents are working parents. They both are doing jobs, and that's why they spend her whole day with her grandma. Kezia has formal relation with mother and father, so she was not so much she never had that informal relation with her parents, that she's doing musties and all such things with her parents. She was just having a very formal relation, that she's afraid to go in front of them, because she thinks that they both are very strict according to her. She is afraid of her father, so she stammered while talking to him, that she used to stop while speaking in front of him. That we have seen those people who are very much afraid in front of any particular person, they used to stammer, they used to speak used to speak very improper sentences, that they are not very in confidence to speak something in front of that person who is very giant. So according to him, his father was very giant in size, so she doesn't like to stand in front of him and to speak something because she is afraid of her father, and that's why she doesn't have that relation with her father. She's just having a formal relation with her father and even with her mother also. So one Sunday, her grandmother suggested her that you should go and spend your Sunday with your parents. But Kezia found her father that he was laying down on the sofa to relax with face covered with handkerchief, and he was snoring, and her mother was busy reading books. So she feel very neglected, that nobody is paying attention to me, my parents are not there for me. But she still waited there and she was still sitting there. Now, though her heart has broken because she saw that nobody is paying attention to her, so grandma suggested, after seeing her face, which was very dull, that you should prepare a birthday present for your father, and that birthday present will be a pin cushion. And you can make this pin cushion with a yellow beautiful silk cloth. But for that she needed something to fill in the pillow, in the cushion. Now she looked everywhere in her house that she must got something to fill in that cushion. But what happened that at last she went to her parents' room, and there she found a bundle of paper, and she thought that it might be of no use, and she tore all the papers and filled that cushion with that scrap of papers, and she pinned that cushion. Now what happened that was a very important document of her father, and that was a speech which he has written for the ports authority. When Kezia was questioned for this, she admitted that it was her act. She tore those papers. Now father beat Kezia with a ruler, and she cried bitterly. Now she hugged her grandmother very tightly, and her grandmother tried to console her that he doesn't want to beat you, but it was just that he doesn't want to see you to do this mistake again, and that's why he treated like this to you. Now one day what happened that she saw that her next door neighbor, that is Mr. McDonald, was playing with his children in the evening, and after watching them, Kezia concluded that all fathers are not like her. One day her mother got admitted to the hospital, and she was alone at home under the care of the cook named Alice. Now when she doesn't have the habit to sleep alone, she asked Alice that I don't have the habit to sleep alone. If I get nightmare, what should I do? So Alice suggested that little girl that don't shout, your father is sleeping in the next room. But as she was sleeping, she get an old nightmare again, which was haunting her a lot. What she saw a butcher with a knife in his hand, and he was having a very dreadful smile on his face, and he was coming near to Kezia, and she got so afraid that she started screaming. And when she opened her eyes, she saw that her father was standing there with a candle in his hand. And father come to her room, he hugged her and carried her to his room to comfort her. There she hugged her father and slept near her father. She realized that he was not so bad, but he was too busy to express his love. And that night she felt her father had a big heart. So this was your story, that is The Little Girl by Kathleen Mansfield. Now the last poem of Beehive, it is of Unit 3rd, that is Rain on the Roof. Rain on the Roof is the poem by Court Skinney, and here the poet present the memories aroused in the poet's mind by his showers falling on the tin roof. So rain on the roof, as the title suggests us, that rain is falling on the roof, and when the rain fall on the roof, there are a lot of thoughts coming into the mind of the poets, and he feel very blessed or very comfortable while when he hear the sound of the raindrop falling on the roof. So through number of metaphors, the poet shows that the drop of rain falling on the shingles, that is the tiles which is used on the roof of the roof, send a train of thoughts running in his mind, that whenever he listened to that shingles or that sound, that music which is played by the raindrops on the roof, he has lot of thoughts related to that, or lot of past memory related to that. So like in first stanza, we got to know that he was lying on his bed pressing his pillow, that means that his head was on the pillow, and he was listening to the sound of the raindrop falling on the roof, and he thought that the darkness is very sad, because he used the phrase that melancholy darkness, that means the darkness is very sad, and darkness started crying and then it rains. So he has compared the whole situation, that when the darkness was very sad and darkness started crying, that means it started raining, because when the dark clouds come, it become very dark, and the darkness seems to be sad to the poet, and when it rains, that means now she is free of all such sadness. He says that whenever he hears the tingles on the shingles, as I've told, shingles mean the tiles which are put on the roof, or the roof tiles, they are known as shingles. So whenever that raindrop fall on the shingles, it make a sound of tinkle, and it has echo in his heart. So these raindrops have lot of memories related to him. He, whenever he hear these sounds, he has lot of memories. All such memories started coming into his heart, and he dreams. He started dreaming, as I've told you, and with that also a lot of memories come to his mind and to his heart. And in his memory comes his mother. He remember his mother, that she is the same as she was year before. She was looking at me when I'm sleeping till the day, and she has a fond look when she looks towards me. And all these musical sounds of raindrop falling on rooftop at midnight has the ability to revive sweet memories and arouse fancies in an otherwise busy mindset. All these musics of the raindrops have the ability that they can bring, or they can bring smile on our face, though how much busy we are, but still whenever we listen this sound of the raindrops, we have a beautiful smile on our face. And it might happen that we have lot of past memories related to rain which comes to our mind whenever we listen to such sounds. So this was all from the Beehive. We have completed the revision of the Beehive syllabus, that is 3 units with the poem we have revised, and I hope that you have understood the things again. But I wish that you should again go through the videos for the detailed explanation, because here I have discussed the important points which should be learned by you, and for the detailed summary which you should go through, you should again go through the videos, again make the notes of those important points. They should be noted. You can make a separate you can make a notes for yourself, through which you can learn the summaries and revise those chapter again and again. I again telling you, don't just depend on the question answers which are there in your notebook. Just go through the summary deeply. That's all for today. Thank you, students.